Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, Night Without Boundaries. Chapter 121, Clearing the Field. Author, Chen Dong. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. A luminous mist swirled within the massive crater, its edges stained with blood, creating an atmosphere of palpable tension. No one had anticipated such a series of unexpected twists at this final, critical moment. Discontent simmered among the factions. Some seethed with rage, others radiated murderous intent, while still others wrung their hands in despair, wandered in a daze, or teetered on the brink of madness. Li Qingshu's eyes were bloodshot. His hand had been outstretched, a mere hair's breadth away from seizing the 8 trigrams furnace and escaping to become the ultimate victor. Who? He yearned to kill. 3 times he had come within a hair's breadth of success. Had he managed to touch it even once, the competition would have ended instantly. He knew this was likely his last chance. The agony of watching a near-immortal artifact slip through his fingers, so close yet so far, would have shattered the resolve of anyone else. His body erupted in a violet glow as he swung his purple bamboo staff, shattering a 4-meter-tall blue boulder into fragments. Meanwhile, Tang Zumi's face twisted with murderous intent. Betrayal by his own ally, a sudden palm strike in the theft of the 8 trigrams furnace, felt like being kicked from the radiant heights of glory to the depths of humiliation. The fall was too great, the shame too profound. Fortunately, the near-immortal artifact flew back toward him. Tang Zumi, enraged moments before, was now stunned, then overjoyed. What an absurd turn of events is this? It's beyond ridiculous. After its trajectory shifted, the 8 trigrams furnace landed in the hands of an elite disciple. He froze, feeling no joy, only terror. In this tense atmosphere, where even a breath of hot air could ignite the tension, the furnace was a death sentence. Holding it for even a moment longer meant certain death, his head would be blasted into a bloody pulp. Fortunately, he reacted swiftly and hurled it away. Though Li Qingyu had appeared, few noticed her. She was now disguised as a golden armor guard, her face hidden behind a golden mask. It must be said, Lu Zhen, the young disciple from the Yin-Yang Temple, was truly formidable. Though he had initially retreated, he now surged back into the fray, his hands glowing with black and white light, determined to reclaim the 8 trigrams furnace. Before Lu Zhen, golden armor guards and outworld disciples alike were sent flying. As his yin-yang force erupted, 2 streams of heavenly light, one black, one white, shot from his hands, unstoppable by any force. Moreover, these yin-yang heavenly lights possessed a miraculous property: they could not only kill but also seize spiritual artifacts and other treasures. Nearby, someone hurled a spiritual spear forged from thunderstruck wood at him with all their might. The whistling projectile was instantly swept to the ground by the black and white light, pulverized into fragments. You dare show your face again? Tang Zumi roared, his hand already gripping the near-immortal artifact. Murderous intent surged from him, his conscious spiritual light boiling with fury. In an instant, Lu Zhen and Tang Zumi clashed. The yin-yang force's attributes shifted completely, the dark light vanishing to transform into pure extreme yang, burning like the sun's fiery core. The outworld disciples who had been knocked down scrambled to their feet, only to recoil in terror, shrinking their consciousness spiritual light to avoid being ignited and burned through. Even Tang Zumi, a formidable figure whose name shook the heavens, could only retract his consciousness spiritual light and unleash the divine light from his yellow core to meet the attack head-on. A blinding light erupted between them, sending table-sized boulders flying. Many shattered mid-air, scattering debris across the battlefield. The outworld disciples trembled. This young man from the Yin-Yang Temple was truly terrifying. A peer who had walked the path of awakening was actually capable of clashing head-on with the core disciples of the beyond the mortal realm. Despite his injuries, Tang Zumi retained extraordinary combat prowess, blocking Lu Zhen's advance and summoning a spiritual blade tempered by heavenly light. With a swift, aerial slash, he unleashed a blinding strike. Suddenly, the ground fractured as a luminous figure materialized nearby. Li Qingshu, witnessing the Yin-Yang Temple youth's ferocity, dared to strike again, eager for a 4th chance to touch the 8 trigrams furnace. He knew his clan had offered rare treasures to the Yin-Yang Temple to secure the youth's aid, and the investment was proving its worth. Li Qingshu's bamboo staff clashed against the spirit blade's vibrant, multicolored glow, parrying Tang Zumi's ferocious attack. Lu Zhen lived up to expectations, channeling his yin-yang force into a blinding burst of black and white light. He broke through the defenses and engaged Tang Zumi in close-quarters combat. A thunderous boom echoed as their palms collided, sending both staggering backward, their stances momentarily broken. You're walking both paths at once. You're also cultivating a special heavenly light force. The Yin-Yang Temple youth exclaimed, genuinely astonished. The outworld disciples gasped, secretly marveling at Tang Zumi's hidden strength, his ability to tread 2 paths simultaneously. He's merely honing his consciousness spiritual light, not pursuing dual cultivation, Li Qingshu said, swinging his bamboo staff to launch another attack. The 3 warriors clashed fiercely, their divine light surging like waves, striking in all directions. Smoke and dust billowed, and the ground cracked with fissures half a foot wide. A ghostly figure materialized. Zhang Shengyu, who had retreated from the battle, returned to the fray, launching a direct attack to seize the 8 trigrams furnace amidst the chaos. Su Jingzhu charged forward as well. Hu Tingwen gritted his teeth, downed a vial of medicinal liquid, and seized his opportunity to join the fray, vying for the near-immortal artifact. In an instant, a massive free-for-all erupted. Tang Zumi coughed up blood and hurled the 8 trigrams furnace to the ground. Holding onto it any longer would surely invite a fatal swarm of attacks. Lu Zhen, wounded and bleeding from the mouth, was targeted by the newly arrived core disciples. Though all combatants were injured, they couldn't allow the Yin-Yang Temple youth to remain unscathed. At that moment, a female golden armor guard strode calmly toward the battlefield. Though her entire body was encased in cold metal armor, her presence radiated an otherworldly aura, clearly surpassing that of an outer saint. A radiant rain of light flowed across her armored surface. As she approached with graceful steps, the core disciples, locked in their chaotic battle, suddenly turned their full might against her, unleashing their most devastating techniques. What's going on? The spectators were stunned. Earlier, there had been an incident where 6 core disciples had attacked a single elite disciple. Now, the situation was even more absurd. All the core disciples, including the injured youth from the Yin-Yang Temple, were attacking a mysterious woman. With a resounding thud, Zhang Shengyu was sent flying backward, blood gushing from his nose, mouth, and even ears, propelled over 20 meters. Hu Tingwen was struck by a 5-colored divine light, staggering and nearly collapsing to the ground as he retreated uncontrollably. With a clang, Li Qingyu conjured a short sword wreathed in divine light, clashing against Li Qingshu's purple bamboo staff. The instant she parried the staff, the sword's blade erupted in dazzling light, drawing blood from Li Qingshu's chest and forcing him to retreat rapidly. Li Qingyu's left hand held a palm-sized wooden shield, its surface gleaming with a crystalline luster. When it collided with the Yin-Yang Temple youth's right palm strike, the impact sent dust and debris flying like a hurricane, tearing apart nearby boulders. Amidst the thunderous bangs, Tang Zumi and Su Jingzhu were also sent flying backward, their faces pale and bodies stained with blood. They crashed to the ground, their bodies trembling violently. The sudden shift left the observing disciples stunned. Who had entered the arena, and with such overwhelming force? Li Qingyu spoke, I know you've been waiting for me to approach, hoping to surround me again and launch another coordinated attack. All that acting must have been exhausting, right? She was well aware that while most hadn't noticed when she threw the stone, it was impossible to conceal her actions from everyone. A few had definitely seen through her. Honestly, I could have stayed back and watched the chaos unfold, entering the fray later to deny you any chance at all. After saying this, Li Qingyu turned to the crowd and declared, but you might resent that afterward. So, I'm giving you a chance now. You're all injured, aren't you? Then come at me together. And those lurking in the shadows, you can join in too. The crowd's hearts pounded in their chests. She was going to clear the field. The observing disciples now knew who had arrived. Li Qingyu, the overwhelming favorite to claim the near-immortal artifact, had reappeared. Didn't junior sister Li suffer severe injuries from being ambushed? This is completely beyond my expectations. Li Qingyu removed her golden mask, revealing her true face. She stood like an armored immortal, her ethereal grace now tinged with an ascending aura of power. The crowd erupted in shock, followed by a cacophony of noise. Within the arena, the core disciples wore solemn expressions. Their current condition was precarious, even their combined efforts might not be enough to suppress Li Qingyu. They could clearly sense that Li Qingyu had grown stronger, as if she had ascended to a new level. Tang Zumi smiled bitterly. Junior sister Li, you really didn't need to appear so early. We had already besieged you once, and no matter how you made your final entrance, no one would have questioned it. It seems fate has its own designs. We tried to eliminate you out of fear, but in the end, you're the one who will clear the field at the last moment. You've returned. Li Qingyu replied, this is to give everyone closure. This is our final battle. Give it your all. Li Qingshu's expression flickered, and the other core disciples exchanged complex glances. They speculated that Li Qingyu's final return was meant to establish her authority and rally the other disciples to her cause, a strategic move to prepare for the future. This is a competition for Outworld disciples, Li Qingyu said, turning to Lu Zhen. Leave now, or I'll focus on eliminating you first. The young disciple from the Yin-Yang Temple was exceptionally strong, but he had enraged Tang Zumi, who forced him into a brutal clash. The other disciples, wary of Tang Zumi, naturally resorted to underhanded tactics, leaving the Yin-Yang Temple disciple severely wounded. I've done all I can, Lu Zhen nodded to Li Qingshu before turning and leaving without hesitation. In the next moment, all the core disciples attacked again. They refused to concede defeat so close to the end. Even injured, they reasoned, if they could endure their pain and unleash their ultimate techniques, surely they could break through Li Qingyu's protective aura. A chaotic battle erupted. Just then, a tall figure flashed onto the scene like lightning, moving with impossible speed. Wielding a spiritual spear, the newcomer thrust it toward Li Qingyu's back. Clang! As if anticipating the attack, Li Qingyu blocked the spiritual spear with her crystalline wooden shield. Simultaneously, she whirled around and clashed palms with the attacker. Endless iridescent light exploded outward, creating a dazzling, multicolored storm that swept across the battlefield. The newcomer staggered backward, her pale hand spasming. Her consciousness spiritual light flickered erratically, dimming as she coughed up blood. Qingyu, you haven't just made a small breakthrough, you've taken a giant leap. Wang Kaiwei sighed. After observing the battle for so long, concealing her true strength until the very end, she still couldn't defeat Li Qingyu and change the outcome. This scene sent shivers down the spines of the other core disciples. Though reinforcements had arrived, they felt no joy. With hidden threats lurking everywhere, who could feel safe? Wang Kaiwei attacked again, her power formidable. She exchanged several fierce blows with Li Qingyu, her beautiful face turning deathly pale, drained of color. The others joined the attack, surrounding Li Qingyu. With the near-immortal artifact within reach, they refused to give up. Bang! 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 Several core disciples were severely injured in quick succession. The 8 trigrams furnace flew out of the battle, but none of the outworld disciples dared to retrieve it. Most knew it already belonged to Li Qingyu. Qinming climbed out of the massive crater just in time to see the near-immortal artifact land near the edge. Fearing it would fall back in, he picked it up. Give it to me. Wang Kaiwei abandoned the battlefield, her robe stained with blood, and charged toward Qinming, radiant streams of light surging beneath her feet as she crossed the distance. Li Qingyu glanced at her but made no move to pursue. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, Night Without Boundaries. Chapter 122, The Curtain Falls. Author, Chen Dong. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Li Qingyu wasn't worried about Qinming's safety. She had already thoroughly injured her former best friend and now rival, Wang Kaiwei. Wang Kaiwei was severely injured. Her black and gold armor was shattered and tattered, her face as pale as paper. The normally cheerful woman was in dire straits, her eyes clouded with sorrow. Beneath her armor, she wore the protective golden robe provided by the Beyond the Mortal Realm, now completely dimmed and stained crimson from where it had been pierced. Once graceful and poised, she now rushed forward in her battered armor, her feet glowing with speed, yet her movements were clearly unsteady. As she drew closer, she even stumbled slightly. Qinming remained calm, holding the immortal mist-shrouded 8 trigrams furnace in one hand as a weapon, while the other crackled with heavenly light force, capable of incinerating the consciousness spiritual light. Though he didn't know Wang Kaiwei well, he harbored no ill will toward her. Upon reflection, he recalled their pleasant time traveling together, her thoughtful nature and radiant smile. Their only private outing had taken place over 2 years ago, and the memories and details had faded with time. Deep down, Qinming hoped they could maintain a peaceful distance, each staying out of the other's way. That would be ideal. But if she tried to seize the near-immortal artifact, he would have no choice but to intervene. Wang Kaiwei stumbled, abruptly stopping nearby. She didn't attack. Having lost too much blood, her once radiant face was now pale, devoid of its usual smile, giving her a tragic beauty. She stared intently at Qinming, then secretly transmitted a message. Is it you? The one from Kai Sha City. Qinming's expression remained calm, but his heart jolted with shock. She's investigated me. Knows some of my current situation. And she recognized me despite my disguise. How is that possible? He was wearing full armor, a golden mask, and his features had been altered by Meng Xinghai using secret sect techniques. What are you talking about? Qinming's right hand twitched slightly. The combined power of his 3 extraordinary techniques and 18 types of heavenly light force resonated, merging into a terrifying unity, a scorching sun for many outworld disciples. I know you're back. Please help me this once. If I can increase my strength quickly enough, the Wang clan won't want to marry me off. I need a near-immortal artifact. I refuse to become a sacrificial pawn in a political marriage, Wang Kaiwei pleaded, her face as pale as snow, her voice tinged with despair and helplessness. She gazed at the tall, slender figure before her, completely clad in golden armor. I know it's you. I have a memory. I recognize your habitual movements and subtle details. The Wang clan showed me your information long before I met you. I've studied them thoroughly. Qinming shook his head. I don't know what you're talking about. The near-immortal artifact already has an owner. He braced himself for battle, his left hand gripping the 8 trigrams furnace, which pulsed with auspicious haze, while the heavenly light force coalescing in his right hand blazed like a miniature sun. We're old friends. You're wholeheartedly helping Li Qingyu, yet you're so wary of me. I truly mean you no harm. How well do you even know her? Wang Kaiwei transmitted telepathically, her voice laced with a sigh. Qinming frowned. If you want a near-immortal artifact, trade me the heaven-shattering technique, Tathagata technique, or Jade Pure technique. Or bring me 3 stacks of extraordinary cultivation techniques. Li Qingyu aspires for immortal realm. Once she obtains the 8 trigrams furnace, she will never set foot in the mortal world again. This parting may be your last. In the future, she will either lead the beyond the mortal realm to unprecedented glory, transforming all blessed lands into heavenly cave and ascending into the void, or she will lead all outsiders to their deaths in the depths of the night mist world during the great pioneering era, their path blocked and their way forward severed. Her ambitions differ from ours. You don't understand her. Once she obtains a near-immortal artifact, she will inevitably sever all ties, destined to become a pure practitioner on the path to immortality. Qinming frowned and maintained his distance, remaining wary. You and I are actually more alike. We both struggle to change our destinies. Help me this once. If I perform exceptionally well, I can persuade my family to change their minds. Afterward, I will give the near-immortal artifact to Li Qingyu. I swear this by the forbidden techniques of the beyond the mortal realm. Wang Kaiwei's eyes reddened, her expression helpless and forlorn. Qinming had seen enough to know that words were just words. What truly mattered was the other party's actions. When he couldn't judge someone's true intentions, he adhered to one principle: judge by deeds, not by heart. He didn't approach her to establish spiritual resonance, maintaining his distance. The core disciples' cultivation was superior to his, there was no need to take unnecessary risks. You've said so much, but I don't understand, Qinming thought quickly. If she recognized him, would leaving the Luofu immortal mountain ruins have dire consequences, or trigger terrible dangers? Wang Kaiwei sighed softly. You think I'm always smiling, that I'm being fake. Alas, those who smile often are usually hiding their gloomy hearts. I truly want to weep, unable to control my own fate. She took 2 steps forward, trying to get closer. The 8 trigrams furnace in Qinming's hand hummed and roared under the impact of his heavenly light force, ready to strike at any moment. Wang Kaiwei sighed again, then with a whoosh, she swiftly retreated, choosing to leave the Luofu immortal mountain ruins without attacking him. Watching her retreating figure, Qinming said, whether you're acting or genuinely lamenting your fate, I wish you well. He was no longer Qichong. Those who had once crossed paths with him briefly had gradually become mere symbols of the past. Qinming noticed that the clearing battle in the distance was nearing its end. Zhang Shengyu, Su Jingzu, Hu Tingwen, and the others knew this was Li Qingyu's demonstration of power. With so many elite disciples watching, she likely wouldn't kill them outright, so they unleashed their strongest techniques in a desperate attempt to survive. Despite their desperate attacks, none of the disciples could so much as scratch Li Qingyu. Instead, they were all severely wounded, sent flying, and left bleeding profusely, unable to rise from the ground. Without a doubt, this cleansing battle had shaken the hearts of all the outworld disciples watching. The gap between them and the core disciples was far greater than they had imagined. Li Qingyu's golden armor clanked as it fell piece by piece, revealing her true form as she removed her helmet. She now wore her earliest, battle-worn armor, stained with her own blood, a testament to the brutal and dangerous battles she had survived, having been surrounded and yet remaining undefeated. Li Qingyu's dark hair billowed around her, framing her tall, slender figure. Her skin was as smooth as jade, her face flawless and delicate, and her entire being radiated a soft, ethereal glow, wreathed in a faint white mist. The blood-stained, tattered armor only enhanced her otherworldly grace with a touch of martial spirit. She advanced toward Tang Zumi and Li Qingshu, the only 2 still capable of fighting. I yield. I surrender. Tang Zumi shouted readily, unwilling to attempt his strongest attack again. With a thud, he collapsed onto his back, gasping for breath, his body covered in blood. He let out a few bitter, yet relieved laughs. Li Qingshu hesitated, torn between conceding defeat or risking everything for one last desperate fight. Li Qingyu closed the distance, leaving him no choice and allowing no further words. She attacked immediately. In an instant, the ground shattered, the earth trembling violently. Divine light rained down in dazzling brilliance as massive boulders crumbled from the edges of the crater, plummeting into the abyss. Li Qingshu unleashed his full power without restraint, yet he still fell. Bloodied and battered, he collapsed amidst the rubble, his strength utterly exhausted. Moreover, the treasured artifact forged by his master, the purple bamboo staff that had withstood the heavenly light unscathed, now lay in Li Qingyu's hands. Holding the staff aloft, Li Qingyu gazed down at Li Qingshu and said, before entering the immortal mountain ruins, I told you that the person you attacked years ago was a dear friend of mine. Over 2 years have passed, and I intend to do something for him. With a sharp crack, Li Qingyu swung the purple bamboo staff, striking Li Qingshu's arm. A crisp, bone-snapping sound echoed through the air. Everyone present felt a chill run down their spines. Li Qingyu's audacity was truly astonishing. Even after the duel had ended, she showed no mercy, delivering a brutal blow to the closed-door disciple of that venerable elder. The purple bamboo shadow slashed through the void and crashed down again, shattering Li Qingshu's left leg with a sickening crack. Even the other core disciples were now shaken. Then they realized that no matter how brutal the junior disciples' clashes became, the old senior wouldn't dare intervene. Moreover, within the beyond the mortal realm, there were powerful figures who could restrain that domineering, protective elder and would never allow him to run rampant. Today, Li Qingyu had swept through all the core disciples with a clean, decisive, and dazzling victory. This was bound to draw the attention of those great figures, and the wielder of the 8 trigrams furnace would undoubtedly receive special cultivation and protection. Furthermore, the influential figures of various Dao lineage had long resented Li Qingshu's master. Li Qingyu's daring to strike his disciple likely aligned perfectly with the wishes of these factions. What better way to establish authority than by beating Li Qingshu? The prestige she's gained is more than enough. Tang Zumi sighed inwardly. He quickly retreated, fearing he might be next. Whether driven by reason or personal grudge, I've wanted to do this for a long time, I've wanted to beat you up. Li Qingyu declared, striking Li Qingshu 6 times in total. 3 strikes shattered Li Qingshu's arms and 1 leg. The remaining 3, delivered with less force, merely cracked his skull. An old friend of mine once suffered amnesia for over 2 years, Li Qingyu said, withdrawing her hand and tossing the bamboo staff. It pierced the ground before Li Qingshu like a spear, shimmering with a faint purple glow. Your injuries are far less severe than his were. Li Qingshu seethed with hatred, humiliated beyond measure. To be beaten senseless with his own divine bamboo before a crowd, his dignity stripped bare. He had attempted to use a secret escape technique to flee, but Li Qingyu had forcibly interrupted him, plunging him into utter darkness. If no one else challenges me, Li Qingyu declared, let the competition for the near-immortal artifact end here. Her raven hair cascaded like a waterfall, her slender figure as graceful as a willow. Her cold, elegant gaze swept across the crowd, softening into a smile as she nodded to her fellow disciples, like sunlight breaking through morning mist. Her entire being radiated ethereal purity, as if she were about to ascend to the heavens. Qin Ming sighed. After this parting, he might not see her again for a very long time. He was returning to the remote Kaisha city. The 1,000-year-old noble clans, blessed lands, and resplendent beyond the mortal realm were all distant dreams. He would have to advance step by step, one footprint at a time. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, Night Without Boundaries. Chapter 123, The Center of Attention. Author, Chen Dong. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. During her duel, Li Qingyu exuded an overwhelming sense of dominance. Now that the battle was over, she had regained her refined and elegant demeanor. Her dark hair cascaded like a waterfall, her bright eyes and radiant smile blooming like a newly opened immortal flower, radiating a dazzling rain of light that instantly made her seem gentle and approachable. She instructed the elite disciples to tend to the wounded. Some core disciples had suffered severe damage to their consciousness spiritual light, their bodies half soaked in blood. Zhang Shengyu, Su Jingzhu, and Hu Tingwen had fought fiercely to the end, refusing to retreat. Gazing at the 8 trigrams furnace within arm's reach, they unleashed their most powerful trump cards in a desperate gamble, only to be met with a brutal counterattack that pierced their bodies. Qin Ming watched Li Qingyu from afar, wondering when they would meet again. Seeing her surrounded by elite disciples, too busy to break away, Qin Ming turned and walked in the opposite direction. Fellow cultivators, we're all on the same path, allies now that the competition for the near-immortal artifact has concluded. There's no need for further conflict, Qin Ming said with a smile, greeting some outer saints. The group immediately tensed, their guard rising. They all knew Qin Ming's formidable background, suspecting him to be a descendant of the 6 Imperial. Most importantly, he was Li Qingyu's companion, and he still held the 8 trigrams furnace in his hand. A small group of people who recognized him couldn't help but feel their hair stand on end. They had encountered him in the white bamboo forest and joined forces to ambush him. Qin Ming's heavenly light force had manifested as a thin layer, but in the white bamboo forest, it had not only broken through their encirclement but also pierced through their defenses, killing many golden armor guards. Qin Ming continued, the competition among the Outworld disciples has left a deep impression on me. Everyone used every means at their disposal, and regardless of victory or defeat, after recovering from their injuries, they will undoubtedly make significant progress. We should exchange insights. The crowd retreated, wondering if the heir of the 6 Imperial technique was seeking revenge. Qin Ming smiled and waved his hand. Don't misunderstand. I'm referring to exchanging cultivation manuals. Let's share what we have. These were all outer saints, and their heavenly light force techniques should be of high level. He genuinely wanted to exchange insights with them. Unfortunately, many remained skeptical, some even suspecting he was trying to extort them. Qin Ming felt utterly helpless. His sincerity was met with suspicion, and progress stalled. Even those who exchanged secret manuals with him were tense, their recitations and martial demonstrations tinged with complex emotions, making it difficult to fully grasp the secret manual's true essence. After a long wait, Qin Ming finally obtained a complete body technique manual, the vertical leap technique. The outer saint sighed, mentioning that his ancestors had once included great figures who had mastered the legendary one-reed crossing the river technique, but unfortunately it had been lost to time. Qin Ming's interest immediately piqued. He asked about the outer saint's ancestral home, planning to visit someday. He reasoned that if any ancient artifacts remained, he might be able to reconstruct the one-reed crossing the river technique, a technique clearly transcending the realm of ordinary cultivation techniques. Next, Qin Ming acquired the Tiger's Roar manual. Though its name seemed unremarkable, it taught a unique technique that vibrated the body, strengthening the 5 vital organs. Sigh, every family has its glorious past, the outer saint lamented. Above our Tiger's Roar technique once stood the 5 thunder refinement of the Viscera technique, and beyond that, they say there was even the 8 scenery divine illumination technique. Qin Ming pressed him for details. The 8 scenery divine illumination technique, the outer saint explained, requires cultivating a visible yet intangible lamp within the chest and abdomen. This lamp illuminates the entire body, refining the 5 vital organs with fire and even tempering the consciousness spiritual light. As for its effects, I don't know. It's been lost for ages. Qin Ming sighed inwardly. The world truly held countless extraordinary cultivation techniques. Just hearing about them stirred longing in his heart. If he could actually master such techniques, it would be truly exhilarating. He could only shake his head. As the outer saint had explained, his great-grandfather's generation had moved countless times, relocating to numerous cities. The family's true roots had long been lost to time. Li Qingyu approached gracefully, her soft smile widening as she saw Qin Ming exchanging the heavenly light force technique with someone. Once we return, I'll help you find a cultivation manual, she said. It should be extremely valuable. Qin Ming handed her the 8 trigrams furnace, then led her aside for a private conversation. Now that you've obtained a near-immortal artifact, do you think those old fogies will break the rules and try to confiscate it? No. Li Qingyu shook her head firmly. Good. Qin Ming retrieved the furnace lid from his robes, along with a handful of vibrant, translucent, strange metals. Each piece shimmered with unique phenomena, some flowed with misty purple haze, others were etched with mysterious patterns that calmed the mind. He then handed her the final fragment of metallic paper, its surface still swirling with auspicious haze. Li Qingyu's eyes widened in surprise. These artifacts were all of extraordinary provenance. Without hesitation, she accepted them all. After all, the elder cultivators had already entered the pit. Their pure yang consciousness spiritual light would have undoubtedly revealed the true nature of the pit's depths. Now, for both Li Qingyu and Qin Ming, the best course of action was to take all the artifacts out and absolutely avoid concealing anything. This torn page. What a pity, Li Qingyu sighed softly. Qin Ming remained silent, planning to wait until the current turmoil had completely subsided before finding an opportunity to share the 2 mysterious scriptures with her. Telling her now might carry unpredictable risks. He was deeply wary of the outsiders' methods, such as possession. If anyone were to probe Li Qingyu's consciousness spiritual light, he would inevitably be exposed. Those domineering elders were unfathomably profound, akin to ghosts and gods. Qin Ming had no desire to confront them and couldn't afford to take any chances at this moment. For now, he could only comfort her, saying, perhaps we can find the missing pieces in the future. Something recorded on a page of true inheritance isn't easily lost. I hope so, Li Qingyu nodded. Before leaving, she sat quietly in the massive pit for a long time, refining her consciousness spiritual light with heavenly light. The elders likely intended for us to cultivate here while competing, she mused. Finally, the large group retraced their steps back the way they had come. Li Qingshu gritted his teeth, using his consciousness spiritual light to support himself as he stood up alone. I'll carry you back, Zheng Yuan offered, stepping forward. No need. Li Qingshu shook his head and quickly retreated. However, he soon returned. Ever cautious, he feared someone might be secretly following him, waiting to strike him down in his weakened state. Zheng Yuan and Zheng Mao supported each other, true brothers in misfortune. Both had briefly possessed a near-immortal artifact, but their fleeting ownership had left them severely injured. Junior sister, about the earlier ambush. Alas, I'm truly sorry, Tang Zumi said, gritting his teeth against the pain. He wanted to explain to Li Qingyu, but ultimately kept his words brief. He deeply admired Li Qingyu and had hoped to grow closer to her, but now that opportunity seemed lost forever, leaving him feeling desolate. Li Qingyu replied, everyone used their own methods to obtain the near-immortal artifact. There's no need for apologies. Once we leave this place, we'll return to how things were before, we'll still be fellow disciples. In truth, she knew that during the ambush, Tang Zumi had deliberately left an opening for her to escape at the last moment. However, she had instead seized the opportunity to critically wound Ren Yiping on the other side and break through. Along the way, Qin Ming dug up the Overlord's spear. I'll carry it for you, Li Qingyu said, taking the spear. This was to prevent anyone from Li Qingshu's faction from resorting to desperate measures after their defeat. Wang Kaiwei might have recognized me, Qin Ming whispered to her along the way. Li Qingyu paused, offering only a simple, it's nothing. We have results. They're coming out now. Many people waited outside the Luofu Immortal Mountain ruins. They already knew that the competition had been fraught with unexpected twists. The near-immortal artifact had changed hands multiple times, with Tang Zumi claiming it twice, only to tragically lose it both times. In truth, those privy to the full story understood that Li Qingshu had nearly succeeded. With the Yin-Yang Temple disciples' cooperation, Li Qingshu had secretly aided Tang Zumi, then orchestrated Lu Zhen's betrayal. This three-pronged strategy, combined with Li Qingshu's ability to seize the 8 trigrams furnace even once, would have allowed him to escape swiftly using a mysterious escape technique. The Kui family members' faces darkened. They knew that Kui Chonghei's consciousness spiritual light had possessed the artifact. Without interference, he would have undoubtedly claimed victory. Yet his attempts had been thwarted twice. It was clear that Li Qingyu had secretly leaked information to trusted allies, alerting Tang Zumi and the others to Kui Chonghei's second ambush by the 6 core disciples. It was indeed Li Qingyu who claimed the near-immortal artifact. An elder nodded with a smile. She defeated all her rivals cleanly and decisively. Such a result is truly well-deserved. This was a figure of immense stature, one who dared to slam his fist on the table against Li Qingshu's master. With such a powerful endorsement, who would dare object? Immediately, outside the ruins, many began praising Li Qingyu, declaring she possessed the potential to become an immortal and deserved prioritized resources and focused cultivation. While some rejoiced and grew excited, others felt disappointed and resentful. The competition had drawn numerous disciples, backed by Dao lineages from beyond the mortal realm and ancient noble clans. Is Li Yi really Li Qingyu's cousin? Someone grumbled. He stole the overlord's spear and killed so many people. Shut your mouth. A member of the Li clan snapped. When Qingyu was surrounded and attacked by dozens, our clan remained silent. If you're looking for trouble, feel free to take it up with the reclusive Li clan. Only then did someone from Li Qingyu's clan step forward, a reclusive but powerful lineage. Though smaller than the ancient noble clans in terms of population and influence, every member was a true master. Clearly, no one wanted to stir up trouble at this critical moment. The troublemakers immediately fell silent. In that instant, Li Qingyu became the center of attention, all eyes fixed upon her. She was forced to greet the senior figures, responding with humility and grace. A group of young people surged forward, surrounding her like stars orbiting the moon. Undoubtedly, the competition for the near-immortal artifact had caused a tremendous stir. Ancient Dao lineages and powerful sects from across the beyond the mortal realm had sent representatives. After all, obtaining a near-immortal artifact would inevitably lead to rapid advancement, ensuring the holder would become a major figure in the beyond the mortal realm. Now, heirs to certain Dao lineages and renowned prodigies from across the beyond the mortal realm had gathered at the scene. Isn't that senior brother Pei? His talent is unparalleled. He's not even 25 yet, and he can already debate Dao with senior experts. He's truly an immortal seed of our pure land. Senior brother Pei is as refined as jade, elegant yet handsome, and so ethereal. He's never sought a Dao partner, but standing beside junior sister Li, they look like a perfect match. A woman couldn't help but exclaim. Look, senior brother Zhou has appeared too. Not only is his talent astonishing, but he's also awakened the divine eye in his forehead, allowing him to perceive immortal resonance. His future achievements will be unimaginable. His divine eye rivals junior sister Li's spiritual eyes, they complement each other perfectly. Qinming slowly retreated, realizing there was truly no place for him there. He was gradually pushed out of the crowd. Li Qingyu was surrounded by renowned prodigies from beyond the mortal realm, all at least at the Yellow Court realm. Some were destined to become future Dao lords of the Pure Lands, their exceptional talents already shining brightly, their status already remarkably prominent. Li Qingyu, the center of attention, smiled as she conversed with these figures. It was clear that some had been deliberately sent by their families and Dao lineages. Having only recently embarked on her immortal path, Li Qingyu was the perfect target for cultivation, alliances, and even deeper connections. Meng Xinghai approached Qinming and said, "You've been a great help. Why are you retreating?" Qinming shook his head. As a golden armor guard, I don't belong here. Qingyu is surrounded by heroes, descendants of sect leaders and peerless geniuses. Their followers are jade armor guards, and some even have divine armor guards. He could only sigh softly. Even attempting to bid farewell before leaving was futile, he was blocked at every turn. The disparity in their status had suddenly widened the distance between them. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, Night Without Boundaries. Chapter 124, Where the Lights Are Dim. Author, Chen Dong. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Outside the Luofu mountain ruins, a vast crowd had gathered. The recent competition among Outworld disciples for near-immortal artifacts had become one of the hottest topics of conversation. A prominent figure from the beyond the mortal realm's pure land spoke up. It's been a pleasure seeing so many familiar faces today. I'm even surprised to see an old friend I haven't seen in 120 years. A rare guest indeed. Let's go to Luofu Immortal Town to catch up. Many were startled. 120 years. Truly an old friend. They murmured, guessing the speaker's status must be equally lofty. The atmosphere grew even more lively. Representatives from blessed lands, millennial clans, imperial dynasties, secret sects, and high-level anomalies had all arrived, each with considerable status, creating a grand spectacle. In Luofu Immortal Town, the true four-tusked white elephant appeared, its origins immense. It had transformed into a young man, accompanied by an old elephant whose tusks had fallen out. A prince from the Great Yu imperial dynasty arrived, conversing and laughing heartily with Kui Chong, their conversation flowing smoothly. The prince was soon to join the Beyond the Mortal Realm. Qinming realized that this competition among Outworld disciples had attracted numerous figures of extraordinary status, evolving into a grand gathering where many were expanding their networks. Soon, he spotted fifth Uncle Kui and felt an urge to approach him and ask if his grandfather had truly gone to the Great Yu imperial capital. Qinming knew those words were lies. Back at the Kui family, second Master Kui, fifth uncle, and the others had fabricated those stories to lure him into practicing the Silk Book. He restrained himself, averting his gaze. Given his current status, he had no right to approach the upper echelons of the millennial clans. Luofu Immortal Town, usually a quiet ancient town, buzzed with unprecedented activity today. The Blessed Land and millennial clans had made arrangements for a grand banquet. Undoubtedly, Li Qingyu was the star of the evening. Though many distinguished guests were present, venerable elders and exceptionally talented prodigies alike, most eyes remained fixed on her. Li Qingyu was the center of attention, surrounded by a dazzling constellation of young elites. Many of these youths were direct descendants of the Blessed Land, imperial dynasty, and secret sect, destined to become future leaders. Senior brother Pei, handsome and refined, with a mature and steady demeanor, introduced Li Qingyu to the assembled guests. As a rising star in his 20s from the Blessed Land, he knew many of them personally. Having been groomed by their families since childhood, even the teenagers among them possessed a remarkable maturity and composure. The atmosphere was warm and friendly, with no hint of conflict or unexpected incidents as everyone eagerly networked and exchanged pleasantries. Lu Zhen, the young disciple from the Yin-Yang Temple, removed his armor and changed into his black and white robes. He too was invited to join the gathering, deemed worthy of inclusion. His mastery of the Yin-Yang black-white force had made him renowned throughout the world, earning him the deep respect and even fear of his peers from the Beyond the Mortal Realm and the secret sect. More importantly, the Yin-Yang Temple was an immensely powerful Dao lineage, and Lu Zhen was one of its core disciples. Qinming glanced at Li Qingyu, radiant amidst the dazzling lights, and knew her rise was unstoppable. Her influence was evident in the way everyone treated her. Possessing a near-immortal artifact and having delivered such a stunning performance tonight, the Beyond the Mortal Realm would undoubtedly regard her as one of their most promising seeds. May your path be smooth and your desires fulfilled, Qinming murmured softly. He then turned to Meng Xinghai and said, Uncle, we should leave now. Aren't you going to say goodbye first? No, the occasion isn't right, Qinming replied, shaking his head. The crowd ahead was like a constellation of stars orbiting the moon. Though composed of young men and women, each possessed significant status. As a golden armor guard, Qinming's presence would be inappropriate. Approaching them would inevitably draw unwanted attention, potentially exposing him to risks. He needed to slip away quietly. Meng Xinghai nodded approvingly, a smile spreading across his face. Stay grounded, that's good. Qinming immediately realized that old Meng's earlier remarks had been subtle probes, testing whether he felt overshadowed or lacked maturity. Uncle, you're really. Qinming hesitated, unwilling to call him Uncle Meng, here for fear of revealing his identity. Meng Xinghai said, the road ahead is long. What's a little glory now? So you've chosen the path of awakening. What's wrong with that? Who says the future is fixed, that you're limited to being a guard for the outsiders or a follower of the secret sect? The true path lies beneath your own feet. If you can keep advancing rapidly, become a young grandmaster, a path-breaking patriarch in your youth, wouldn't that outshine those so-called prodigies? You'd leave them gasping for breath. Of course, he transmitted these words secretly, lest even someone as powerful as him face immediate consequences. Qinming replied, Uncle, you're always pushing me to strive harder. Since you're so fond of the awakening path, why not abandon your pursuit of divinity and turn back? Join me on this path. Meng Xinghai immediately waved his hand. Enough. I can't do it anymore. I've battered my head against this path until I'm bleeding dry. Look at my contemporaries, those once legendary figures have vanished. Some changed paths, others fell into the Beyond the Mortal Realm, or became outer guardians for the secret sect. It chills me to the bone. Qinming continued to urge him, saying, let's travel together, uncle and nephew, and walk this path together. One of us will become a young grandmaster, the other a grandmaster in middle age. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Meng Xinghai didn't smile. His expression remained grave as he replied, "For the past 5 years, I've been stuck on this path, unable to advance even an inch. My heart has grown weary and cold. If even someone with my talent can't succeed, what hope is there for others of our generation? Fortunately, I've managed to do well in the secret sect. I still cling to the faint hope that one day I'll have a chance to climb to the summit and approach those unknown, terrifying beings." Qinming knew that the secret sect's path was far more reckless than that of the beyond the mortal realm. First, one approached godlike entities, and then embarked on a journey of profound irreverence. "Uncle, let's go," Qinming said, taking the lead. He needed to return to Kaisha City, plant his feet firmly on the ground, and strive to rise in that remote region. Though the lights before him shone brightly, they were still distant. Blessed lands, millennial clans, imperial dynasties, secret sects, and pure lands beyond the mortal realm, these were all colossal entities beyond his reach, far too dangerous for him to approach at this stage. Meng Xinghai nodded. Yes, it's time to return. The grand examinations across the region are entering their critical phase. Would you like to spar with the top contenders from other cities? The rewards should be substantial. The two departed without lingering. Sensing something, Li Qingyu suddenly turned her head. She caught a glimpse of a familiar figure disappearing into the night, his silhouette fading into the dim glow of the distant lanterns. Luofu City was magnificent, its brilliance undimmed by the night mist. The colossal city now lay beneath Qinming and Meng Xinghai, who rode atop a high-grade flying mount, swiftly soaring through the night wind. The golden high-grade exotic bird wore a secret gold helmet and armor forged from rare metals, completely encasing it like a giant, winged turtle. Soon, Luofu City vanished completely behind them. The path ahead was pitch black, the night mist thick and oppressive, as if the entire world had been soaked in ink. Having spent several days in the radiant fire spring, Qinming had grown unaccustomed to darkness. Returning to this familiar yet starkly real world left him feeling disoriented. Fortunately, he quickly adjusted. Don't take the usual route. Meng Xinghai telepathically instructed the high-grade exotic bird, guiding it toward an unknown destination. Uncle Meng, are we avoiding the direct path because you suspect someone is following us? Qinming asked telepathically. My senses detect no immediate threat, but for the sake of safety, we'll take a detour to visit my Grand Marshal uncle. We can ask him to purify us along the way, Meng Xinghai replied telepathically. He was being exceptionally cautious. If there was an anomaly even he couldn't detect, it meant the situation was dire. The high-level mutant creature possessed immense strength and incredible speed. It pierced through the night mist like a shooting star, covering 800 miles in a short time and nearing its destination. Along the way, Meng Xinghai guided it, providing precise directions. After flying another few dozen miles, the mutant creature began to slow down. Passing over a dimly lit small town, it gradually descended, finally landing 10 miles outside the town. Grand Marshal Uncle, I've come to pay you a special visit. Meng Xinghai called out. They stood on a vast, towering cliff, resembling a great mountain that had been cleaved in half, leaving only a broad, flat plateau. Even in the dead of night, an old man sat at the cliff's edge, fishing. Without turning his head, he replied, spare me the formalities. When have you ever come to see me, specially? You must want something. Meng Xinghai chuckled. I didn't want to disturb your divine ascension. I usually wouldn't dare come, but I was passing by today and brought you 2 jars of fine wine. Qinming's expression turned strange. This was the exquisite wine from the Luofu Immortal Town banquet. He hadn't seen Meng Xinghai sneak any out. Don't mention divine ascension, to me, it makes me want to vomit. I can't even become a mountain god. I've been fishing for a century, and not a single bite. The old man's voice carried a hint of irritation. He reeled in his fishing rod, stood up, and walked over. The old man was tall and imposing, easily 2 meters in height, radiating vitality with a ruddy complexion, though little hair remained on his head. Greetings, senior, Qinming said, bowing respectfully. He couldn't help but wonder what connection there could be between achieving divinity and fishing here. He glanced down the cliff face of Broken Mountain. Don't look down there, the old man warned, his tone gentle and without any elder's condescension. It's dangerous. The things below are terrifying. This is a special place. Meng Xinghai explained to Qinming that the chasm below was an endless abyss shrouded in thick mist, its depths mysterious and unknowable. It was best not to pry. You've certainly brought me trouble again, the old man remarked, pointing at Qinming. Interesting. Some old geezer has placed a simple mark on this boy. Then he asked, is this child particularly special? Well. Meng Xinghai hesitated, then quickly recounted Qinming's recent experiences. Qinming added his own account, realizing he had somehow caught the attention of a powerful figure. I see, the old man said. You've been impersonating a 6 Imperial's disciple. That old fool was slapped by the 6 Imperial in his youth. Now that rumors of the 6 Imperial's impending death are circulating, whether true or false, he's trying to use you to probe the truth. Nothing to worry about. It's a minor matter. As the old man finished speaking, his eyes lit up, causing a faint glow to envelop Qinming's body. The light flared briefly before vanishing completely. Grand Marshal Uncle, what do you think about this child taking the path of the secret sect? Meng Xinghai asked. Do you think just anyone can possess divine wisdom and be suited for this path? Wait a moment. The old man's expression suddenly shifted, his eyes swirling with divine light that coalesced into arcane symbols as he stared intently at Qinming. Hiss. What a promising seedling. Excellent, his divine wisdom is remarkably powerful. He exclaimed in admiration. I knew he had it, but is it really this strong? Meng Xinghai's emotions were complex. He felt relieved that Qinming had found a new path, yet also a pang of melancholy. Was there truly no one who could walk the path of awakening with unwavering strength to the very end? Take this scripture and have him try practicing it. Come back in half a year. I'm currently locked in a life or death struggle with this abyss and can't afford any distractions, the old man said briskly, shoving a thin booklet into Meng Xinghai's hands before shooing him away. In truth, Qinming had already memorized the opening incantation on Broken Mountain and began practicing it as soon as they set out. When their high-grade exotic bird descended upon Kaisha City, he told Meng Xinghai, Uncle Meng, I've cultivated a divine light, but what's wrong? Meng Xinghai asked urgently. Mastering it so quickly was almost too good to be true. He could sense something was amiss, and his anxiety grew. The path to godhood was not to be taken lightly, it demanded utmost seriousness. The divine light. It's being absorbed, Qinming revealed, stunned to encounter this situation again. Meng Xinghai immediately examined him, but found nothing amiss. Let's discuss this back at the residence. For the next 2 days, Qinming continued practicing the technique from the booklet. Every time the divine light manifested, it was absorbed, nourishing his physical body and gradually enhancing his constitution. Only a trace of the divine light remained, maintaining a delicate balance. On the 3rd day, Meng Xinghai came to summon Qinming. Alright, stop practicing this technique for now, he said. Someone has sent you a priceless secret manual. They've brought the first 3 pages. Go check if you can cultivate it. If not, we'll need to find you a normal extraordinary technique. What secret manual? Who sent it? Qinming asked. Whoever said they'd send you a cultivation technique. Meng Xinghai replied with a smile. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, Night Without Boundaries. Chapter 125, The Book That Stumped the Ancestors. Author, Chen Dong. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Qinming smiled. Qingyu told me about it. I didn't expect it so soon. Who else could it be? Meng Xinghai urged him to hurry and test his skills. Qinming nodded. Actually, there are others. Tang Zumi, Hu Tingwen, Su Jingzhu, and the other core disciples owe me a renowned cultivation technique. Those disciples had mentioned finding fragments of the divine ape force, a branch of the illustrious heavenly light force, in the scripture pavilion. Whether they would honor their promise remained to be seen. Even if they did, they would likely deliver the book to Li Qingyu first. Not bad, kid, Meng Xinghai said. You went out for a while and came back with quite the haul. Qinming nodded, satisfied with his substantial gains. Without wasting time, he quickly followed Meng Xinghai to meet the others. In the antique-filled reception hall, bronze trees and 3-legged cauldrons stood as ancient artifacts. Mind-calming incense burned slowly in a censer, its wisps of smoke rising like silken threads. An elderly man sat sipping tea. Though his hair was snow-white, his complexion remained ruddy and his spirit vigorous. Even Meng Xinghai addressed him respectfully as Uncle Li. Seeing this, Qinming instinctively lowered his seniority by another generation and respectfully greeted Master Li. The old man's eyes opened and closed like 2 golden lanterns, radiating extraordinary vitality. He rose with a smile and nodded, saying, Excellent, good child. I came here specifically to thank you, Xiao Qin, for helping Qingyu successfully obtain the near-immortal artifact. This was clearly a member of a reclusive noble clan, and likely a close elder relative of Li Qingyu. Actually, I didn't contribute much, Qinming said modestly. Even without me, Qingyu would have undoubtedly emerged victorious. The old man chuckled, not pressing the matter further. This time, I brought a special cultivation technique with a remarkable history, though it's exceedingly difficult to master. He produced 3 sheets of paper. Take your time to study these. There's no rush. Qinming's curiosity was piqued. What kind of technique would warrant such a high-ranking elder making a personal visit? As he accepted the papers, he noticed they were freshly copied, the ink still faintly fragrant. Li Qingyan spoke up. This is an exact replica of the original, down to every stroke and dot, to ensure no hidden secrets are missed. Qinming was taken aback by the elder's solemn demeanor. This level of reverence suggested the scripture was truly extraordinary. But Li Qingyan wasn't finished. He produced 3 bronze coins, each bearing a faint humanoid figure etched with intricate lines. These correspond to the 3 pages of scripture paper, he explained. They've been recreated to scale, even preserving the original blurriness. Qin nodded, his expression turning serious as he recognized the elder's meticulous attention to detail. Holding the scripture paper, he compared it to the bronze coins, studying them intently. Soon, his brow furrowed. Who had written this scripture? It was far too vague, discussing the physical body and spirit in broad, sweeping terms, with lofty, distant goals. Life is boundless as heaven and earth, without end. Qin read aloud, exhaling a heavy breath. He was still practicing the heavenly light force, having just embarked on the path of awakening, yet these 3 pages spoke of immortality. Even the venerable elders of the beyond the mortal realm and the supreme masters of the secret sect could not escape death, they all faced their final day. Moreover, their lifespans were not particularly extravagant. Most critically, Qin felt these 3 pages were nothing but empty rhetoric. The text offered no detailed techniques, its language vague and ambiguous, accompanied by 3 blurry diagrams that could be interpreted in countless ways. If this weren't Li Qingyu's elder, Qin would have dismissed him as a charlatan or con artist. Li Qingyan sipped his tea and said, "Don't pressure yourself. There's plenty of time. This scripture has stumped countless scholars. Even those who gain some insight arrive at vastly different interpretations. What insights have others gleaned?" Qin asked. Li Qingyan replied, "Few manage to grasp anything at all. Those who do are invariably renowned figures. Some, in their twilight years, experience a sudden surge in vitality, effectively extending their lives by half a lifetime. Others, once dull-witted, achieve sudden enlightenment. Some with mediocre talent undergo a radical transformation of their innate constitution. And some, their physical bodies withered, find a second life through spiritual awakening." He spoke with deep longing, his thoughts drifting into reverie. Meng Xinghai added, "The individuals we're discussing are all legendary figures. Think of the Pure Yang Palace's founding master who revitalized the sect, the Yin Yang Temple's ancient abbot, and the 5 Elements Palace's founder, among others." Qin was stunned. The contents of these 3 pages were far more significant than he had imagined, even involving historical figures. "I need to examine this more closely," he said, his expression becoming unusually solemn. He immersed himself completely, earnestly seeking to unravel its mysteries. Li Qingyan reassured him, "There's no need to rush. I'll be here for half a month, so there's plenty of time. If your physical body or spirit experiences even a slight unusual sensation, it means you have an affinity with it and should be able to gain something. After all, that's how the historical figures started too, they initially only felt something slightly different. It was through years of practice and comprehension that they ultimately achieved a qualitative transformation." Meng Xinghai explained the scripture's origins. It had been obtained from the deeper regions of the night mist world, accidentally discovered during the Great Pioneering Era. However, only a select few had ever managed to gain anything from it. Even those with profound cultivation might fail to comprehend it. Take, for example, the founding master of the heaven-shattering force. His power was legendary, his physical strength reaching its absolute peak, he could practically tear the heavens apart. Yet after studying the book for 3 years, he gained not a single insight and nearly tore it apart in frustration. If someone hadn't intervened, even its special material wouldn't have saved the book from destruction. Qin studied it for an hour, his brow growing hot and throbbing with a dull ache. He paused to rest. Li Qingyan set down his teacup and said, "In a sense, this is a foundational scripture. It may not offer specific techniques, but it can provide profound insights and possibilities." This scripture was considered particularly suitable for those pursuing the path of mutation, as most historical figures who had gained enlightenment from it were renowned practitioners of this path. Seeing Qin temporarily put down the 3 pages, Meng Xinghai added, "Even someone as powerful as that elder, Li Qingshu's master, who lived over a century ago, failed to gain anything from it. He was incredibly arrogant and studied the book for 5 years, yet ultimately achieved nothing. Rumor has it that his face remained darkened for over half a year afterward." Qin was astonished. This book seemed to be far more famous than he had imagined. Li Qingyan nodded. "Indeed. The original copy of this scripture is currently stored in the Beyond the Mortal Realm's Pure Land, where they have preserved it. However, it has been gathering dust in their scripture pavilion for many years. This was frustrating. A book crucial for the path of awakening had fallen into the hands of outsiders, starkly illustrating the current disparity in status and progress between the 2 paths." Meng Xinghai said, "In this era, according to public records, only a handful of individuals have gained even a sliver of insight from studying this book. It truly is difficult," Qin murmured, resuming his reading. "In an entire era, only a few have managed to grasp even a fragment of its meaning." He noticed his forehead growing warm again. A thought struck him, could this be the so-called unusual sensation? Li Qingyan nodded. "Even that's remarkable. Looking back over the past millennium, how many people have truly understood this book? To be precise, no one has ever fully comprehended the entire text. All have merely gleaned partial insights from specific passages." Qin paused again, taking a sip of tea to savor the sensation and observe any unusual changes within himself. Meng Xinghai added, the Li family has temporarily hired Lu Zhen, a core disciple of the Yin-Yang Temple, to serve as a golden armor guard and help Li Qingshu secure the near-immortal artifact. In addition to offering the Yin-Yang Temple valuable treasures, the Li family reportedly promised to arrange for Lu Zhen to visit the Beyond the Mortal Realm and study this book. Although this book resided in the Beyond the Mortal Realm, it wasn't sealed away. With the right price, one could study it. For instance, the Kui family was actively arranging for Kui Chongshuan, who had mastered the 6 imperial force, to visit the realm and meditate on the text. As for Kui Chong, a core disciple of the Beyond the Mortal Realm and an undisputed seed-level talent, he had already studied the book. Whether he gained any insight remained a mystery to outsiders. Qin Ming, being an outsider himself, owed his opportunity to read the scripture entirely to Li Qingyu's efforts. Meng Xinghai, worried that Qin Ming might struggle to comprehend the text, tried to reassure him, studying this scripture depends entirely on fate. Even the founding master of the heaven-shattering force felt nothing from it, cursing and tossing it out the window. If it doesn't work out, we can always exchange it for another extraordinary technique. A founding master acting so down to earth. Qin Ming asked, surprised. You're missing the point, Meng Xinghai replied. I'm telling you to relax. I am relaxed. My brow feels a little warm, though. Relaxation is good. Wait, what did you say? What did you say? In an instant, both Meng Xinghai and Li Qingyan set down their teacups, their eyes gradually gleaming with a brilliant light as they stared intently at Qin Ming. Qin Ming said, I've grasped a preliminary sense, but it's still too faint. Let me ponder it further. Li Qingyan abruptly stood up. How many great figures had been stumped by this book? Hailed as one of the most challenging ancient scriptures, it was said to be comprehensible only through destined affinity. In truth, not only the founding master of the heaven-shattering force but also the founding master of the 6 imperial force had secretly attempted to ponder it, only to end up completely baffled. However, being a man of pride, that founding master had warned anyone who knew of his failure to keep it secret, threatening to cleave them into 108 pieces with the 6 imperial heavenly light if they dared to reveal it. Li Qingyan himself had once studied 3 pages of the scripture in his youth, but without gaining any insight. Now, witnessing a young man potentially unraveling its mysteries before his very eyes, how could he not be astonished? This was akin to standing shoulder to shoulder with legendary figures. Meng Xinghai's emotions surged. Xiao Qin, the young man he had high hopes for, seemed to consistently exceed expectations. His performance in front of Uncle Li filled Meng Xinghai with a sense of pride. He had initially expected Qin Ming to fail miserably this time, but the young man proved as formidable as ever, managing to extract some essence even from one of the most difficult ancient scriptures. Qin Ming said, I wasn't in the best state today. Comprehending it was extremely taxing, my forehead kept feeling hot and throbbing. But as I delved deeper, I felt like I grasped something. The 3 diagrams seem clearer now, different somehow. Even in a poor state, you can still comprehend parts of this ancient scripture. Li Qingyan asked skeptically, itching to ask Meng Xinghai if the young man always spoke this way. Hearing this left a bitter taste in his mouth. He had bathed, burned incense, and meditated in stillness, yet all his efforts had been futile. It was truly infuriating. Li Qingyan imagined how Li Qingshu's master and those old fogies would react if they heard Qin Ming's words. They'd probably want to jump out and beat him senseless. He does grasp scriptures remarkably quickly, Meng Xinghai said with a cough. I think my body is gradually heating up too, Qin Ming added, experiencing yet another novel sensation. Li Qingyan couldn't sit still any longer. 2 unusual sensations in quick succession. He had never heard of anyone exhibiting such a phenomenon before. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel.